They called him nothing, not a name, not a number. Only whispers of his existence crept through the black veins of the Bastille, as if even the stones feared him. He appeared in the records of France like a ghost, arriving from nowhere, belonging to no one, yet guarded more heavily than assassins and kingslayers. It was 1669. Louis XIV, the radiant Sun King, ruled France with absolute splendor and absolute fear. That same year, a man was quietly escorted into the fortress of Pignerol, a remote mountain prison. He was placed under the watch of Benigne d'Auvergne de Saint-Mars, a strict and loyal jailer who had served the crown for decades. Saint-Mars received an order, sealed with the king's personal wax emblem. Inside, written in trembling black ink, was a command that chilled even his battle-hardened blood. This man is to be kept in complete isolation. He will speak to no one. If he attempts to reveal his identity, he is to be executed at once. He must wear the mask at all times. The mask, not yet iron, but black velvet lined with steel bars, locked onto his face like a curse. It hid his mouth, his nose, his features, leaving only two hollow eye holes that glimmered faintly in the torchlight. And so began the legend. Saint-Mars cleared an entire wing of the fortress for this single prisoner. Guards were forbidden to speak to him, even to hear his voice. Food was delivered silently, waste removed without a word. When he walked the courtyard, all others were locked in their cells. They said he carried himself like a nobleman, not a criminal. He bowed when Saint-Mars entered. He wrote with elegance when given paper. Yet his letters were burned before they left the room. What secret was so dangerous that it had to be buried alive? Whispers began to leak beyond the stone walls. A hidden royal twin, a disgraced general, a spy who knew the crown's darkest sins. Even the jailers began to wonder if the man they guarded was a prisoner or a weapon, caged to keep him from exploding. Years passed. The world outside shifted. Wars flared, kingdoms rose and fell. But inside Pignerol, the man remained frozen in silence, like a forgotten artifact. Then, one cold winter night in 1681, Saint-Mars received new orders. The man was to be transferred in secret. No announcement, no witnesses. He was loaded into a black carriage under moonless skies, chained and hooded, and vanished down the mountain roads. By dawn, Pignerol was empty, and the mask had become iron. Saint-Mars had him moved to Exilles, another fortress deeper in the Alps. There, his treatment grew even more severe. 2 musketeers stood guard at all times. The walls of his cell were padded with straw to muffle every sound. Even his face could not be seen by sunlight. His windows were sealed with shutters of oak and lead. Still, he did not break. Sometimes at night, guards claimed they heard faint humming, like a lullaby carried from another world. Others swore they saw him kneel as if praying, though no priest was ever allowed near him. One soldier said he caught the man staring at him through the mask and felt as though he were being judged. Then one day, a page boy delivering bread caught a glimpse beneath the mask as it shifted, just for a second. He screamed, dropped the tray, and ran. When questioned, he refused to describe what he saw. He simply repeated, trembling, he should not exist. Soon after, the boy was transferred and never heard from again. By now, the prisoner had been locked away for over a decade, and yet he did not age as others did. His hair stayed dark, his posture unbowed. His eyes burned cold and steady behind the iron. In 1698, Saint-Mars was promoted to governor of the Bastille in Paris, and the man in the iron mask was brought with him. Again, the transfer was made under total secrecy. They traveled in a sealed carriage, guarded by musketeers who were ordered to kill anyone who approached within 20 paces. When they arrived, Sam Mars personally locked the man inside a cell in the deepest level of the Bastille. He gave him a name only used in official records, Marchioli. But everyone knew it wasn't real. The Bastille swallowed him like a tomb. No prisoner was watched more closely. Sam Mars inspected him daily, sometimes twice. He forbade any guard from speaking, looking directly at him, or even mentioning his existence outside the walls. Yet strange things began to happen. A note was once found hidden in the lining of his mattress. It contained only 7 words. "Tell my brother he still has time." The handwriting was elegant, royal. The note was burned. And so the years crawled on. Paris changed, rulers died, revolutions whispered from the gutters, and still the iron mask stared silently from behind the stone bars, untouched by time, untouched by history, as if waiting. Waiting for what, or for whom, no one knew. But one thing was certain: whatever truth was locked behind that mask, the crown of France believed it was powerful enough to destroy them all. And then, after 3 decades of silence, the man made his move. It began with a spoon. A guard at the Bastille swore he saw it glint between the prisoner's fingers for only a moment before it vanished back under the folds of his cloak. Sam Mars dismissed the report, claiming the man was imagining things, but others whispered that the prisoner had started scratching at the stones behind his bed, leaving faint grooves like claw marks. After 30 years of silence, he was moving. Sam Mars tightened the watch. No metal objects allowed. Every dish was checked. The straw in his mattress was replaced daily. Yet still, somehow, rumors spread through the fortress like rats. Guards claimed they found pebbles scattered in strange patterns on his floor, as if he were counting or mapping. Then one night, a thunderstorm tore across Paris. Rain lashed the fortress. The towers shook with thunder. And deep inside the lowest cell, a guard swore he saw the prisoner standing by the bars, lit white by lightning. The man raised one finger to his lips. The guard fainted. When he awoke, the prisoner was back on his cot, chained, silent, staring at nothing. Sam Mars grew paranoid. He rotated the guards weekly so none stayed long enough to grow curious. He inspected the cell himself, hammering the walls, measuring the bars. He even ordered the prisoner's mask to be welded permanently shut. But the whispers grew louder. A note was found tucked into a bread loaf. "I am not who they say. I am not who they think." No one knew how it got there. And then the scratching stopped. For weeks, the man lay motionless, refusing food, staring at the ceiling through the slits in his mask. His breathing slowed. His body thinned. Even Sam Mars feared he might be dying. But just when they thought the mask would finally fall, he rose again. At dawn, a guard unlocked the cell to deliver his meal. He froze. The iron mask lay on the bed, empty. The cell was silent. No one saw him move. No one heard a sound. But the door's inner lock had been picked clean, the hinges loosened from within. Panic erupted through the Bastille. Musketeers swept every corridor. The fortress bells rang. They searched the ramparts, the dungeons, the cisterns. Nothing. Until a sentry on the north wall saw movement on the outer parapet. A dark figure clung to the stones like a shadow. cloak whipping in the wind, climbing down toward the river. Torches rushed to the wall, muskets fired, the figure turned just once, and even from 50 feet away every man swore they felt his eyes through the mask. Cold, burning, defiant. Then he let go. The body hit the water far below and vanished into the black. For 3 days, the city seethed with panic. Rumors exploded like wildfire. Some said he was the bastard twin of Louis XIV, locked away to preserve the throne. Others claimed he was Nicolas Fouquet, the disgraced finance minister who had once threatened the king's rule. But on the 4th day, just as the rumors reached the royal court, Saint-Mars summoned the guards to the lowest cell. There, sitting calmly on his bed as if he had never left, was the man in the iron mask. He said nothing. He had no wounds. No water dripped from his cloak. Only his eyes moved, and they were smiling. The guards fled in terror. That night, Saint-Mars wrote in his private diary a single line before burning the page. He has never been ours to keep. By the time the prisoner was transferred to Ile Sainte-Marguerite, even the guards whispered his title like a curse, the king's shadow. The island fortress rose like black teeth from the sea, battered by salt winds and endless waves. Saint-Mars brought him there in silence, hidden beneath heavy black cloth. No one saw his face, not the soldiers who rowed the boat, not the governor who received him, only Saint-Mars, and even he looked away. The cell prepared for him was carved into the cliff itself, a cold hollow slick with seawater. No windows, only one iron door with 3 locks, and yet the prisoner did not shiver. He sat, he waited. At night, the guards swore they heard him pacing in perfect circles for hours, the sound of iron on stone like the ticking of a clock. Some claimed he spoke to the sea, whispering through the cracks as if sending messages to the waves. One morning, the warden found a gull lying dead outside the cell, its wings arranged like a cross. No one could explain how it had gotten inside the fortress walls. And then one night, Saint-Mars received a sealed letter delivered by a royal courier. The wax bore the personal seal of Louis XIV. It contained only 4 words: "The shadow grows restless." The king had not forgotten him. He feared him. Saint-Mars doubled the guard. He forbade all speaking near the cell. He ordered the prisoner's name struck from every record on the island. But fear only made the men more curious. One young guard crept to the door with a mirror, sliding it under the bars to catch the man's reflection. The mirror came back cracked, as if crushed by a sudden weight. The guard swore he hadn't seen a face, only darkness. Weeks passed. The sea rose, the winds howled, and through it all the man sat motionless, like a stone idol carved from ancient night. Then, on a moonless evening, Saint-Mars entered the cell with 2 musketeers. He stared at the prisoner in silence, trembling, and whispered, "Who are you?" The man lifted his head. The iron mask glimmered in the torchlight. And then he spoke. Just 1 sentence. 8 words. It made both musketeers drop their weapons and fall to their knees. Saint-Mars turned white as bone. He ordered the cell sealed with bricks the next morning. Years later, the prisoner was moved again, this time to Bastille, the black fortress that devoured men whole. He arrived in silence, under heavy guard, his presence known only to the warden and Louis XIV himself. No chains clinked when he walked. No footsteps echoed behind him. It was as if the air itself carried him like a curse. The Bastille swallowed secrets, but this one poisoned it. Guards who passed his door grew pale and thin, their eyes sunken. Some refused to eat. Others muttered that they saw two shadows where only one man stood. Saint Mars, now old and frail, still watched him like a frightened servant. He never addressed the prisoner by name, only as Monsieur, as if fearing that uttering his true identity might summon something worse than death. And then, in the winter of 1703, the door was opened for the last time. Inside lay the figure that had haunted a kingdom, the iron mask dull and lifeless, the body beneath it as still as cold marble. There was no name on the death report, only the words, "He is gone." That same night, a carriage left the fortress under royal seal. Its cargo was a small wooden coffin and an envelope stamped with the Sun King's personal crest. No one saw where it went. Weeks later, whispers began that the man had not died at all, that his coffin was empty, filled with stones. Some claimed they saw a hooded figure boarding a ship to the New World. Others believed he was buried in the catacombs beneath Paris, guarded by monks who had sworn oaths of silence. But one thing was certain, the French court breathed easier. The shadow had finally lifted, or so they thought. Because in the royal archives, locked behind 3 doors, there is still a document signed in the king's own hand. One chilling line, "The rightful king shall never walk in light." Centuries later, historians still argue, was he a fallen prince, the twin brother of Louis, the heir that could have unmade a kingdom? No one knows. But if you stand in the cold halls of the Bastille's ruins, sometimes the guards swear they still hear the sound of iron on stone, a soft, steady rhythm, like a man walking in circles, waiting to be remembered.